I want to talk about a pretty sensational healer and her place inside the game of Watcher of Realms. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. As you probably seen from the thumbnail today, we are going to be talking about Nerissa. And that is right, Nerissa, not Narissa with an A. It's with an E. And that messed me up for quite some time in the game, especially when I was trying to search up guides and stuff like that for her. But she is a very interesting hero. She has fantastic reviews pretty much everywhere. I use her in so many areas, and as soon as she was introduced into the game, I think a lot of people realized just how potentially game-changing she was. So let's go ahead and talk about it. First of all, let's go ahead and take a look at her kit. So her talent, she applies Abyssal Favor to one allied hero with the highest attack in range. Each single target heal grants 1 point of Black Pearls. Additionally, heals one allied unit in range. Abyssal Favor, what does that do? Well, its bearer is going to gain 20% inspiration from Nerissa. When taking damage, recovers 5% HP and grants Nerissa 1 point of Black Pearls. This effect can trigger up to 1 time within 2 seconds. Each trigger increases Abyssal Favor's HP regen by 5%, up to 100% increase. So massive heals coming in whenever somebody takes damage, as well as inspiration getting applied to them from your healer, is a very, very, very strong combination to have. A note as well, with these Black Pearls, you do have to collect 4 of them in order to actually be able to cast her ultimate. So if she doesn't have a full stack of 4, you just simply cannot cast her ultimate, which is something that we'll talk about here in a little bit. Her basic attack applies 100% attack-based healing to one allied unit in range. So she is a single target healer, which is perfectly fine. She is a very, very good healer. Now, we have a Siren Song passive, so reduces AoE damage taken by 20% for all allies in the hero's basic attack range and within 1 tile of Abyssal Favor bearers. When HP drops below 100%, they immediately receive healing with a 50% healing multiplier. Each target can trigger this effect up to 1 time every 5 seconds. So first of all, she's going to decrease damage taken, so AoE damage. So this is absolutely huge for things like Abyss, for Semra, all that sort of good stuff, right? She's very, very strong for those particular pieces of content because she's one of the few damage reducing units in the game. So she joins somebody like an Aelin, somebody like a Pharisee as another potential option for that. Finally, we have the Dark Onslaught passive. So every 4 points of atrophy increase the hero's attack by 10%. So these are kind of the little orbs she's going to stack up, and reduces all damage taken by 8%. When atrophy reaches 4 points or more, allies within the hero's basic attack range and 1 tile of Abyssal Favor bearers gain increased healing received. All effects reset when the ultimate ends, as you'd probably expect, because she does consume the atrophy stacks. Let's go ahead and talk about that. So, Black Swan Elegy, when casting the ultimate, consumes all atrophy and dispels debuffs from allies in the hero's basic attack range and within 1 tile around Abyssal Favor bearers. So, one thing to note here as well is this is an instantly activating ultimate. So what I mean by that is a lot of times with, like, say for example an Eloin or a Pharisee or, you know, even Diao-Chan, Dolores, stuff like that, when you cast their ultimate, there's a little kind of like charge up effect that happens and then the effect happens. So with Eloin, for example, if you're using her inside Semra, you essentially want to go ahead and kind of activate her her ultimate when the boss is hitting you, and that gives you enough time to essentially go ahead and cleanse those debuffs off after. Well, that is not the case with Nerissa. So this is an instantly popping ultimate, which means that as soon as you go ahead and hit her ultimate button, it instantly takes effect. So she's going to cleanse off all those debuffs. So just make sure that you get the timing right if you're trying to use her inside any of the content areas that I mentioned. Continuing from there, so when the ultimate is activated, each basic attack now deals 15% magic damage 30 times to the enemy with the lowest HP in range, increases damage by 60% to enemies with shields. The ultimate lasts for 12 seconds, cannot gain Black Pearls during the ultimate. So the Black Pearls are, again, the kind of little stacks that she gets that allow her to actually cast her ultimate. So all this put together, what does it mean? Well, it means she's an AoE damage reduction unit for your team, so she's great for boss content. It means that she has very good healing, and it means that she has a lot of use in a lot of areas, especially if you look at her range, right? She has very, very good range for a healer. It's kind of that Vortex, that Pharisee range, absolutely sensational stuff. It also means that she is one of the best in slot units for the Immortal Codex boss, whose name I cannot remember at the moment, but he's the one where you need to have multiple hits go on his shield. Basic attack dealing damage 30 times to the enemy with the lowest HP is absolutely nuts, and if you look at the top ranked teams for that particular Codex boss, she's going to be in basically every single one. Let's go ahead and take a look at Awakening. So A1 increases AoE damage reduction from Siren Song by 10%, increases the range of buffs applied to allies by Abyssal Favor Bearer to within 2 tiles. So you can technically have her apply buffs to people even if they're outside of her range, which is pretty cool. Attack plus 300. A3, when allies are healed by Siren Song, they gain a shield equal to 40% of their max HP for 5 seconds. This effect can be triggered up to 1 time every 15 seconds. Pretty fantastic. A4 is attack plus 5%. And finally, A5, every 4 points of atrophy increases the hero's healing multiplier by 5%. This effect lasts until the ultimate ends. Additionally, Siren Song applies Abyssal Favor to one additional allied unit. So now she's giving a 20% inspiration to the 2 highest attack units inside her range instead of just 1, which is pretty fantastic stuff. I really like how it's with the highest attack as well. I definitely prefer when they make it conditional on crit damage or attack or those sorts of things, because it means that you can control who it goes on, unlike, for example, Invigoration or Wings of Grace buffs, which is random. For her artifact, I have her in a Euphoric Orb maxed out so that she can increase the attack speed. Another fantastic way to do it is going to be Golden Scarab. She is a single target healer, so having something like a Taya's Bomb or, for example, an Elysian Epitaph on her would be fantastic as well. She is fully booked out. In terms of the gear, I do have Invigoration on the right-hand side with Light's Grace on the left-hand side, and these are her stats. So almost 30,000 on the HP, just over 17k on the attack. She's got 240 on the attack speed. You could definitely make her a little bit faster, to be honest. She has 115 on the healing effect, and then 92.5% rage regen. Now, I don't necessarily have issues where, she doesn't have her ultimate available and she has the stacks, right? Because again, keep in mind, you do have to have a certain amount of stacks on her for her to deploy her ultimate. So that's just something to consider. In terms of how the gear actually looks, this is kind of what we're rocking with. So as you can see, my Invigoration gear is pretty booty cheeks. So if you had the option to, just simply put better gear on her, that would help an astronomical amount. So that's something to consider as well. You'd want more attack speed, a little bit more HP would be nice, all that sort of good stuff, but it kind of is what it is. Let's go ahead and let's hop into the Drake's Chasm Nightmare 4, which is where I always test everybody. There's not really much that I can do to test her, unfortunately, and I always say this because at the end of the day, she is a healer, right? So she's just going to go out there, she's going to heal people. It's kind of exactly what you'd expect, right? So that's just something to consider. We'll bring in a Sun Wukong and a Kagiri. We'll do a nice little play test here. We'll bring in Diao Chan for inspiration as well, and you can really see just how effective this is. Again, keep in mind, if you do have her, she's absolutely fantastic, and she's going to be really, really good for that late game content, specifically the Codex boss that I mentioned, where she can essentially be the best in slot unit. So we're going to go ahead and place her there. Keep in mind the little orb stacks above her head. You're going to see those start to charge up over time, and as soon as they do start charging up, you'll actually see that she can pop her ultimate once she has them available. So it is kind of annoying where she can't really, just deploy her ultimate willy-nilly, but I also definitely do understand it, right? She's a very, very strong unit. There needs to be some way to balance out her kit, especially considering that she's doing such a high number of damage once she pops that ultimate. So that's just kind of, something to consider. We'll go ahead and we'll just kind of go through here. As soon as the as soon as the ultimate's available for our Kagiri or our Sun Wukong, we'll go ahead and pop it there. But with that in mind, We'll just go ahead and keep smacking into the boss here, get some good damage. I finally got my Kagiri to be A5, and I'm absolutely loving it so far because he does so much more damage now. It's pretty crazy. As you can see, he's like doubling the damage of an A4 Sun Wukong, which is pretty crazy, and he's only popped his ultimate like once. So if I were actually popping his ultimate more, it would be even crazier, which is wild, right? It's so wild how much damage he does, but it is what it is, I suppose. So as soon as we can, let's go ahead and pop Kagiri's ultimate again and see that nice big burst of damage come out. So he's at 53 million, goes all the way up to 58, 63, 64. This guy is getting some big numbers coming in. So that's it, right? Like, Nerissa's keeping him alive. You can see everybody's pretty much max HP. She now has her ultimate available. I'll show you though. So when I pop that ultimate, boom, it's instant. All the debuffs will be gone. She's now doing big amounts of damage to the boss. Now, I want to be perfectly clear when I say this. She is not a damage dealer. Don't worry about building her with crit rate. Don't worry about building her with crit damage. Don't worry about building her with attack for the intention of doing damage. That's not her purpose. That's, you know, not her place. It's not what she's designed for, and it's not what her kit intends. It's simply just there to do big numbers of big amounts of damage. Let me rephrase that. It's there to do a big number of hits, specifically. Those hits aren't going to do anything, right? Because it's like, what, 15% damage, 60 times, 30 times, whatever it is. But, you know, it's 30 times, right? So 15% magic damage 30 times. You know, they're just tickles, right? But they're there to take down shields and those sorts of things, so they're incredibly useful for that. And as soon as that Immortal Codex boss goes live, I will go ahead and do a showcase of it on my channel here as well, using her. I think I SS plussed it last time it came in rotation, and then I realized Nerissa is an absolute beast for it, but I didn't have a chance to do a video on it, so I kind of missed the boat on that one, unfortunately. As you can see, though, she's keeping everybody alive, even though she's a single target healer. It's definitely not an issue. So that being said, I would be very curious to hear down in the comments where your favorite area to use Nerissa is. There's also going to be a Discord link down below if you want to go ahead and hop in there and share builds, tips, tricks, all that sort of good stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end. I'll see you next time.